Richard Rodgers with a walk-off touchdown. Total disbelief at Ford Field.
He may go all the way to the 20 down the right side, and there's Randall Cobb to the 5, to the end zone, to the touchdown. Oh my goodness.
Welcome, everyone, to the Green and Golden Boys Packers podcast. This is the podcast for Packer fans who want to talk about practice? Practice? Marcus, let's start this episode off talking about practice. How are we doing today, Marcus?
You talking about practice? I'm good. Chuck, of yourself?
I'm doing great, and Alan Iverson is correct. I want to talk about practice here today because I think that's honestly the bigger obstacle and the bigger news right now for the Green Bay Packers, more than the border battle against the Chicago Bears. There's a lot of things going on with guys coming back from injury. Aaron Rodgers still not really practicing much, and I just think there's a lot to dive in here deep. In this episode, the first thing I want to kind of bring up is Aaron Rodgers still hasn't practiced since the game the day before the Arizona Cardinals win on that Thursday night. What, a month ago now? Whether it be COVID or the toe injury, it's pretty amazing. And should we be concerned yet?
No, I don't think so. I mean, he's had a couple weeks off now with the bye. He obviously, I think somebody of his stature and his skill level doesn't need practice as much as maybe the next guy would. Obviously, it's not ideal. You'd rather have your starting quarterback taking those reps whenever possible, but right now he probably needs the rest more than anything. And as long as he can do the Russell Wilson mental run through before each game, I think he'll be okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think you nailed it. I'm not concerned about Aaron so much, although for those loyal listeners who've been listening to this for the last couple of weeks, I have complained about how we feel off those first couple series. Now, whether it's Aaron or the timing with some of his receivers, maybe that's making an impact. And to compound this issue, not only is Aaron not practicing, but Jordan Love was recently placed on the COVID-19 IR list. And we got our guy, Ben Kurt, third-string quarterback, activated as our backup, but more importantly, taking all the starting reps this week during practice, at least until Aaron comes back, if he comes back to practice this week.
Yeah, that's a bummer. Jordan Love, these reps are invaluable for him right now. And the fact that he's going to be out for, maybe a week or two on the COVID list really sucks for him and his development. And frankly, sucks for fans if Aaron Rodgers is to depart this year, at the end of this year, and then Jordan Love takes over. Every opportunity he gets to spend with the number ones is going to be beneficial to him. And it really sucks, not only that we're essentially going to be having, a third stringer be our backup for this game probably, but more so for him in the long run. But we'll see how it goes. Luckily, it's Jordan Love and not Aaron Rodgers again, I guess, on the COVID list. So,
as far as this game, though, right? I mean, I hear you on long term and developmental aspect, but this game, I mean, is there something to that? Timing. I mean, I know these guys, Devontae and Aaron, right? We're not questioning their chemistry, but I mean, some of these guys who aren't catching all the balls that go their way, or Aaron's just barely underthrowing them or overthrowing them, and you see that pissed off look on his face saying, cut faster, whoever receiver I'm yelling at right now. I mean, do we expect to see more of that, or do you think we've been seeing more of that because he's been out and the timing is just maybe not there right away in the game?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think that's definitely a symptom of not practicing is just getting that timing down. And that's kind of the big thing. I mean, these reps are important for, development and everything like that, but I think more importantly for the cohesion of the offense and for Aaron Rodgers to get on the same page with his receivers. So yeah, it's definitely detrimental. I think, like you mentioned, those first couple series tend to be a little stagnant, and then they kind of get into a groove later in the game. But as we get closer to the playoffs and the end of the season and trying to make a run at this thing, you can't be wasting 3 or 4 series to get going. You
Right.
need to be able to hit the ground running as soon as the game starts.
Exactly. Before we turn to the positive side of this practice conversation, a couple more notable injuries, folks that did not practice. David Bakhtiari still not practicing, likely not playing. Aaron Rodgers, I think, said in his interview with Pat McAfee that he's likely not playing this Sunday. Randall Cobb listed, did not practice yesterday, Wednesday, recording here on Thursday, as a core injury. Do you think that's the same injury with the hamstring that he kind of came out with the other week? Should we be concerned that he's not practicing? Should we be optimistic that he's not been placed on IR?
I don't know. I mean, I think it was a groin injury that kept him out of that game. Maybe I'm wrong, but
it was, but now it's listed as core.
Right, it's listed as core. I see that, but that I don't know if that. I mean, if it's a different injury, then that's a little bit concerning. If it's the same thing and they just, maybe it's like a lower abdominal injury.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what's worse. I mean, I think a lower abdominal injury would be a little bit easier to play through than a groin injury, personally, especially when you're running around out there. But
right.
I've never had an abdominal injury, knock on wood.
Right.
So I don't know. I mean, that's concerning for sure. But he's gotten a couple weeks off now too with the bye, and I think he missed that last game as well, if I recall correctly. But
and maybe we're not. Hopefully, we're not looking past anyone, but maybe we're partly looking at this as a bye and a half. Again, I don't think you should take any game at all lightly.
Right.
But if you have guys, who are not, 90% who may have played in a Rams game or in a Arizona Cardinals game, maybe they don't play in the Bears game, just to make sure we get closer to 100%. As possible. But hey, let's be positive, because we are in a border battle, and I want to talk about some of the positives that we heard this week. Most importantly, I would say, is Aaron Jones is not at all listed on the injury report. So not only did we see him last game against the Rams not taking too many snaps, or at least not majority of the snaps, but he was definitely playing. I was concerned that we were bringing him back too early. Not seeing him on this list, I think, is a huge win. And then secondly, he's not on the injury report yet because he's technically not back 100% with the team. But we got news that Jair Alexander is back in the building, and he has to be activated in the next 21 days. How exciting is that? We did not lose Jair for the entire season.
Yeah, that's really exciting. I mean, it's still a possibility that he doesn't play at all the rest of the season.
True.
But this is definitely better than putting him on IR, designating him as out for the season at this point. So let's be optimistic, but let's be realistic as well. I would love to see him, man, if he can come back, for a playoff run. He could be not only a boost on the field, but just I think in that locker room. I think that secondary plays with more confidence when he's out there, and I think that could allow guys like Rasul Douglas and Eric Stokes to be play a little bit more aggressive than they might normally, for better or worse. But yeah, I think he's going to be a huge boon to this team and this locker room if he's able to come back in the next 3 weeks.
Well, you mentioned a couple names there, Rasul Douglas in particular. Obviously, we've been high on him ever since the Cardinals game. We don't really have backups anymore, right? I mean, these guys have played for 6 games now, and across all of our positions that are injured, and we'll talk about that here in a second. You can make the argument that these guys aren't being thrown in, the week 16, week 17 with their first game time snaps, right? Not only did we manage to have a fantastic record, currently second in the NFC with backups, but our backups are now kind of starters, right? Because they're winning these games, and should someone go down in the NFC Championship game, or I'm getting ahead of myself, but you know what I mean? We're not like, oh no, that guy is out now, we're screwed, because we've proven that we can get some W's, missing some very, very, very key pieces on this, specifically on this defense, but throughout the season on our offense as well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I don't know how good you feel if you lose a guy like Rasul Douglas or like a Chandon Sullivan. I think if we lose those guys, or one of those guys, there's a steeper drop off, than there would have been from.
I hear you completely. My point is if we get a Jair back, and then Jair has to leave the game again, and now we're knocking on Rasul Douglas' number.
Sure.
That's my point. I mean, you're even thinking of these guys as starter-like players. So I'm saying when we get full strength, when we get these guys back, hopefully David Bakhtiari, hopefully Zadarius Smith, hopefully Jair, it's amazing, because we're replacing players, or our starters are replacing guys that have really held their own, so much so that we have a 9-3 record right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I see your point. So yeah, no, I mean, you feel really good. I mean, you're probably going to need to work Jair in, probably have him a little bit on a pitch count for like at least his first game back, I would guess. But yeah, you feel good about having Rasul Douglas in there. You feel good about Chandon Sullivan,
Exactly.
Kevin King to an extent, I guess. But
Yep.
but yeah, these guys. I mean, again, we've said it week after week, but hats off to Gutekunst and hats off to Joe Barry for getting these acquisitions and then Barry preparing them for the games and. Some diamonds in the rough here on this Packers defense for sure.
Last comment on practice before we turn to the border battle. We already talked about it. Jair coming back yesterday, today. LaFleur made comments that he, earlier this week or maybe late last, that we could potentially see David Bakhtiari, Zadarius Smith, and Jair Alexander coming back this week. So we're, of course, already talked about seeing Jair coming back, but it is promising to hear the possibility of these other guys coming back specifically this week, which gives you more and more hope for the weeks to come.
Yeah, for sure. Again, if we can get these guys back at the end of the season and make a run at this thing, that's only going to help. And you always want your best players on the field when possible. So we'll keep an eye on it. Obviously, let's be realistic. There's a chance that none of these guys come back this season, but there's a chance that we could see all three. So optimistic but realistic. Love to see those guys come back.
Well, let's be realistic. Looking at this. At this Chicago Bears border battle, we're in Green Bay, correct?
Yeah, this game will be at home.
This game's at home Sunday night. I think 4 of our next 5 games are in prime time. The last season of the game against the Lions is not. That's okay with me. So us Packer fans in Minnesota, we get to watch all the games on network TV, which is fantastic. No weird streaming apps required. But Marcus, who do we anticipate seeing this week under center for the Chicago Bears? Andy Dalton or the 8th overall pick, Justin Fields? I'm probably wrong with 8th overall pick, by the way.
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, Andy Dalton didn't participate. His injury is to his left hand, though, not his non-throwing hand. And he took most of the snaps last week. So I'm going to anticipate him being under center this week. However, I guess it wouldn't surprise me if the Bears just say F it and they're like, yeah, you know what, let's just get Justin Fields in there, see what he can do. But yeah, I definitely anticipate Dalton being their starting quarterback.
Yeah, I'm going to go the opposite way. I'm anticipating Justin Fields because I think you just nailed it in your hypothetical. I think they're kind of at the F it stage and just say, hey, let's see what we got. Probably not anticipating a win either way. Obviously, every team wants to win every week, and I think the X factor of Justin Fields is their one realistic chance any given Sunday of beating the Pack in Lambeau on primetime. Throwing the rookie in there and just kind of seeing what he can do with his legs. That has been an issue for us in the past. We've done pretty good against mobile quarterbacks here this year, but Justin Fields is someone that we don't have too much tape on, and I think is the big X factor in this week's game. Yeah,
for sure. And they're also, I think, last in the league for passing yards per game. So it wouldn't surprise me, like you said, if Justin Fields plays, they're averaging 125 yards a rush this season, 8th overall, so they're a top 10 rushing team. I don't love that matchup, I guess. I mean, I like our front against the run, so we'll see. But yeah, this could be a game of Justin Fields comes in, throws 15 times, rushes 8, and they just try to feed their running backs and try to ground and pound it. Kind of an old school Packers Bears type of game. But yeah, I mean, we'll see how it goes, and we'll see who they have starting at quarterback. But this could be an interesting game.
Yeah, I don't see us being Belichicked, and what I mean by that, this last, Monday or Thursday night game where, Mac Jones only threw the ball, 3-4 times. I think we win that game, right? I like our backs better than their backs, and I just trust Aaron Rodgers to put, unless we're having a clipper coming through like they had in Buffalo that game, I see Aaron Rodgers putting together more than 75 yards passing, and I don't see Justin Fields 130 yards passing